She talks. She listens. She cares. She's Joyce Oglesby. In today's ever-changing world, Joyce takes on the hottest issues. She fights for what's right in America.
I wanna leave a legacy. How will they remember me?
Just Ask Joyce is brought to you by Guaranteed Total Construction, Window World, Nan's and Crafts Florists, Squire Boone Caverns, and About Face Spa and Salon. Now, just ask Joyce.
And leave that kind of legacy.
And welcome to Just Ask Joyce. I'm Joyce Oglesby, your Family Life Fix-It Pro, getting you fit for life and love every day God's way. I have a very special program in store for you, and of course we have an email that we will share with you later in the show as well. And it is from someone who can't get past a bad memory of an ex. So we'll address that in some form on the show. So you just make sure you stick around for this. But this is a show that I'm so excited to bring to you because a lot of people find themselves breathless at times. Now, I know that you've done that. You know, have you been breathless? Like maybe, you know, something that is just really sweet has caught you breathless. Or maybe when you run up a flight of stairs and you find that when you get up at the top, you're just totally breathless. Well, that's kind of sort of what we're talking about today, but what if that kind of breathless was, you were living it every moment of your life? What if you did that? This show is about hope for the breathless, and there definitely are people, and we have some of them here with us today that I'm going to introduce you to, who live with this kind of illness every day. It's a breathless illness, and we're going to talk about IPF, and if you don't know what that means, I have brought you the people that are going to share just what it is with you today. And this sweet lady right here is Ruth O'Brien, and she is just something special. God just kind of threw her in my lap, and I think vice versa maybe. But little did I know that I would be serving on a board with her for Hope for the Breathless. And Ruth, welcome to the show. And you brought along Ann Tenser. And Ann, as you can see, is all equipped with her oxygen, and we'll talk about that in a moment. And then we have Steve Lindsay with us as well. And Steve he's kind of a really upbeat part of this show, and I'm not going to give it away quite yet, but we're going to talk to you about IPF. Okay, Ruth, so tell us, because people are saying, okay, so what is IPF?
IPF is idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. Idiopathic means we don't know what causes it. Pulmonary has to do with the lungs. Fibrosis is a scarring of the lungs. And what happens with IPF is over time your lungs begin to scar, and then you can't get the oxygen into your lungs and into your vital organs. And essentially after a certain amount of time they start to shut down, or your heart has to work overtime, and you have a heart attack.
Wow. Okay, so now I know that you were diagnosed with IPF.
I was.
When?
I was diagnosed last March, but I started going excuse me, to a pulmonary doctor October 1st of 2012. And because I became very short of breath. I mean, I couldn't walk a block and a half without being short of breath. So I went to a pulmonary doctor, and he listened to my lungs, and he heard essentially what you hear is the sound of Velcro. It's a crackling sound. Now, we didn't do anything then. He just wanted to follow me. And then in 2013, in July, I had to have emergency surgery where my stomach had gone up through my hiatal hernia. And after I had that surgery, I thought that that's what the cause of the shortness of breath was. But the Holy Spirit said, no, don't stop going to the pulmonary doctor. So over the next course of years, he kept checking me, and then finally he did a CT scan. And that's when they saw it. Then I had to have a lung biopsy done last March.
Wow. You've had a lot. Just with a little diagnosis, and I say a little diagnosis, but can I ask you, were you a smoker?
No.
So, you know, automatically we think that when you have lung compromises, you know, maybe you're a chronic smoker or something, but it doesn't, it's no respecter, it seems like.
No, but they are looking into genetics now, and on my mother's side of the family, they all had emphysema or
Really?
or asthma, or I have a cousin who has COPD.
Wow.
So it may be,
yeah,
it may
in the
be,
family, huh?
well, it may be in the family, and then I might have encountered something environmental that triggered it.
Well, we know there's lots in the environment these days, for sure. So let me ask you, Ruth, because you spoke about the Holy Spirit telling you not to stop going to the pulmonologist, and you were obedient. But I think you were also very obedient in something else, because God laid on your heart to start a foundation. Was this part of the impetus that you had? I mean, because you were diagnosed with this, I guess you started finding out how little, remedy there is for this?
Well, there is no cure. They have 2 medications out now. They don't cure it, they only slow the process down, and there are side effects to that. The only cure, per se, is the lung transplant. And what started me on this journey was 3 years before I retired. I said to the Lord, I'm going to retire in 3 years. I want to work for you, and you need to tell me what you want me to do.
And so he did in a big way. He did in a big way. All right, so there are some things that I think that people need to understand about IPF. Now, of course, you know, idiopathic means we don't know the cause, right? It's an unknown cause. And then pulmonary, of course, is the lungs, and fibrosis, the scarring of the lungs. But there's also I think a huge number of people in the United States that suffer with this disease process.
Well, there are about an estimated, at this point in time, 200,000 people with IPF, and 40,000 of those will die this year. The same number that die of breast cancer.
Breast cancer. Wow.
Now, we know there are more out there than just 200,000 because people have either not been diagnosed or been misdiagnosed.
Wow.
So there are about 20 areas throughout the United States that are trying to accumulate a database to find out exactly how many people there are.
All right, and of course, after diagnosis, you saw on the screen, many people live only 3 to 5 years. That's all, 3 to 5 years. And only 2 medications are currently available. That's kind of scary.
There are some clinical trials on some other ones, but right now there are only 2 available.
And then the only real cure, as you said, was a lung transplant. But I bet there's a long list for that, of lung transplants. I mean, you know, you don't just find a pair of lungs all the time, because a lot of times people don't always want to be donors, number one. But, you know, with 200,000 people diagnosed with this every year, I can imagine there must be a real shortage.
Well, and there are certain criteria to get the lung transplant. You can't be too heavy, you can't be too light, you have to be in good shape. So there's a lot that goes into
other complications, health complications would deter you. Wow. So IPF, and we have started a foundation, and it is called Hope for the Breathless. And there you see it on the screen. That's how you can go. And of course, what are we asking today? We're asking that you donate to help, because we're going to do some research. That's what we're hoping. And we'll share more about what the proceeds will go for later on in the show. But jot this down, hopeforthebreathless.org. We're going to run to a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk to Ann Tenser, who has her unit here with you, and obviously, you know, is taking in oxygen right now as you and I are just breathing normally. Don't go away. There's more today on Just Ask Joyce.
You're watching Just Ask Joyce, where real life and family values connect. Just Ask Joyce is brought to you by Guaranteed Total Construction, Window World, Nans and Crafts Florists, Squire Boone Caverns, and About Face Spa and Salon.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Joyce Oglesby, your Family Life Fitness Pro. We're talking about IPF, and we have spoken with Ruth O'Brien, who is the founder of the organization Hope for the Breathless. And you can go to their website, Hope for the Breathless, and that's -less, all right, .org. There it is on the screen. Thank you, Jason. And now we're going to talk to Jean Tenser, who is here. And Jean, you're all...
And?
I knew I was going to do it. I knew it. See, I told you. That's right. Ann Tenser. All right, Ann, and you're all equipped with your oxygen. Is this something that you live with every day? You have to carry this around?
I have to be on oxygen 24/7, and therefore, when I go out and about, I can bring this with me. It's a portable oxygen concentrator that supplies oxygen to me, and it produces it with its magic going on inside, and it's very handy for me to take with me. It has a long-term battery in the bottom, and it can go for about 9 hours. So this is what I take when I go out and run errands and go places. At home, I use a oxygen concentrator that is electric, and it just plugs into the wall, and I have a 50-foot tube that's connected to it and a cannula, and I'll use that all around my house. I can go into the garage, the basement. It goes with me everywhere. And at night it goes with me too into the bedroom.
Now, you were diagnosed only, just I say recently, but it seems like pretty quickly before you had to go to full oxygen.
Yes,
so
I was diagnosed in July of 2016, and at that time they did not put me on oxygen until about the end of October. And at that point, I exhibited just shortness of breath that just stopped me in my tracks. And I knew then that oxygen was necessary. The doctors had not prescribed it for me at that time yet. And so in October, the shortness of breath stopped me.
Wow.
And therefore, when I went to the doctor, then he gave me the oxygen tank and the concentrator for at home, and yes, I am on it
Your
all
life
the time.
changed immediately. It really did.
Yes, my lifestyle changed dramatically.
It's
A lot of things changed in my life, and it was a matter of acceptance that helped me deal and cope with it.
You almost have to come to terms with that this is my lifestyle from now on. And Les, now, are you on a lung transplant list?
I am not as of yet. I have some kind of just personal reasons of not seeking it out, but it's still educational for me to learn more about the process, because it is quite extensive and life-changing in itself.
Sure.
And so I'm not quite decided
That's right.
whether to go with the lung transplant.
Well, this, like I say, it's kind of all new, but Hope for the Breathless, and that's -less, all right, .org. Check it out. And guys, sometimes we look for things that we have to believe in to donate our money. And I know that, there's a handout everywhere, but I'm one of those people. I want to know people that are involved with an organization. And I did that for when I fell in love with Food for the Poor. I was hands-on. I went and I checked it out. And I know that this foundation is going to be something, and we're going to share with you exactly how we're going to do that. But I know that this is going to be something really, really good, and we would love for when you consider maybe what can I give, how can I help some organization, will you consider hopeforthebreathless.org. And Ruth, tell us how many people, I know that people are volunteers right now. Everybody works on a volunteer basis.
Everybody's a volunteer right now. So our 85% of the money will go towards scientific research to find a cure. 10% will go to help patients who have exorbitant medical bills, and 5% is overhead, which is almost unheard of.
I know. Every organization needs that, and it is almost unheard of. That's why I loved this other organization. And so I'm all about hopeforthebreathless.org. And I pray that you will too when you consider, I just need to give back some of the blessings that the Lord has given me. So who can I help and how can I help? And we're going to go to a quick break. We're going to come back. We have so much more to share. There's not enough time to share it all. But we have some light at the end of the tunnel for hopeforthebreathless.org. Go there, check it out. We'll be back. Don't go away. Welcome back to Just Ask Joyce again. I want to talk to you about relationships because I am a Family Life Fix-It Pro. And if you have a question for me where I can help you with some relationship, please contact me. JustAskJoyce@gmail.com. Go to my website, JustAskJoyce.com, and it'll put you in contact with me there. But don't wait until it's too late, and sometimes people do. They just let so much pile up. This lady has written us an email, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the question, and again, I'm going to direct you to my website to get the answer, and it'll be right there. And why don't you browse around and see some of the other topics that I've addressed there. I think you'll find them all very timely and timeless. But this gal, Julie from Jeffersonville, says, how do you lose bad memories? It's not that I am staying in the past. I simply can't get the memories out of my head. I'm involved with someone who loves me and I love him, but the memories of my ex-husband linger. He was not good to me or for me. So why can't I forget him? Help. If I could just invent that kind of vice that you put on your head and squeeze out bad memories, I'd become a billionaire overnight. But I can't do that, but I can give you some advice. So go to my website and you can find Joyce's Fix right there, JustAskJoyce.com, and check on the blog, all right? We're going to go to a quick break. We'll be back because I want to talk to you more about IPF and the hope for the breathless. Don't go away. Thank you so much for joining me today. We've been bringing you information about IPF, which Ruth O'Brien, my special guest here, Ruth O'Brien and Ann Tenser and Steve Lindsay. Now you're like, okay, so what's the success story? What Steve's doing here? And that Steve, that's you, the success story. So tell us, you were diagnosed when?
I was diagnosed in April of 2013.
April of 2013. Now, you're not hooked up to oxygen.
No.
All right, so why?
Because I have somebody else's lungs in my chest.
Do you really? When did you get that?
May 7th, 2015.
2015.
But let me tell you what I did since then.
All right.
I have done 6 half marathons.
Wow.
And on February the 3rd, I'll do the climb for the 3rd time, 38 floors.
Good for you. Good for you. That's awesome. All right, so now, how long did you actually have the disease process coming on you before you were diagnosed?
I think the disease actually started probably around 2010 when I first was diagnosed with pneumonia. And we didn't really know what it was because IPF looks like so many other things.
I know. Well, we're talking about COPD and emphysema and so all these other things. So it's in that family of pulmonary problems.
Sure.
All right, and so and sometimes doctors miss it, or they don't, because it does look like other things. They're looking for the most obvious, I guess.
In order to diagnose IPF, really, what you have to do is you have to eliminate everything else.
And it takes a while.
It does. It definitely takes a while.
Wow.
And then, of course, you are faced with, okay, we're going to cut you open like a tuna fish and take out your lungs and put in new ones, or different ones.
Right,
all right?
Someone
and
else's.
as Ann has already mentioned, that can be terrifying.
Yes.
That can be more than terrifying. That can be really terrifying.
Well, it comes with its own set of problems, I'm
Oh,
sure,
yes.
right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And some complications. But your success story, and this is what Hope for the Breathless is all about.
This is what Hope for the Breathless is all about.
And so we're teamed up to help the 200,000 people that are or just diagnosed.
Yeah, that are diagnosed.
And there's many more out there that have been undiagnosed. But now, Ruth, I'm going to go back to you for a moment because You know, you do have some experience, do you not, as running foundations?
Well, I worked in a research laboratory as an administrator for 15 years. So I know what I'm looking for when we give out the grants that we'll be giving out for research. I just got back from a 3-day summit in Nashville, IPF summit, and I met many wonderful doctors there that I'm going to contact, and they're going to help me through the process and who to choose and who they think is working on cutting edge, out of the box research, because that's what this is going to involve.
You see it again, 85% of the donations will go to scientific research. And I'm telling you guys, this is an organization that I believe in wholeheartedly, and I believe that you can make a difference as well. And you know what, we're not asking, I know that some people don't have thousands of dollars to give. Whatever you can give, we would love to take your money and make sure that more people have hope for their breathless situation. Hope for the Breathless, and that's -less.org. Will you please consider giving? Thank you so much. Congratulations to you on your success story, and bless your heart, Ann. We're going to be praying for you, and Ruth, God bless you in your efforts. Guys, join me next time for the next edition of Just Ask Joyce, where real life and family values connect. And in the meantime, I'm in battle for his cause.